I want to welcome whoever is watching here to our therapeutic yoga class. My name is Aaliyah Fern. I am a yoga instructor and counselor at Prineville Counseling Center here in Prineville, Oregon. Coming again to offer a class, a little bit of a lesson here from my therapy office. Having cleared out most of the furniture, feels pretty good. This is actually the way I always hoped I got to practice therapy. Was mostly through yoga and with a lot of blank open floor. I don't have a yoga mat, but I'm using my whole basically rug as a surface here just to help ease the instruction. Feel free to, if you have a yoga mat and you want to use it at home, to get one out. If you could also substitute with a blanket or a towel. The idea is to have enough cushion beneath you, but not a slippery surface. We want to be able to stay safe with that. So I want to go ahead and offer just a little bit of noticing, coming back into our 4 key themes for therapeutic yoga practice. The first one is experiencing in the present moment, giving yourself as few distractions as possible, allowing yourself a little bit of time to focus inward, be with your breath, be with your body, let the other kind of filtrations of daily life and busyness and whatever, fear, anxiety, stress, all those things can just kind of move off to the side for the next session of practice. And giving yourself, just the time to kind of be centered and experiencing what's happening right now. All the things that I offer tonight are by invitation, so feel free to make your own choices. You might not be ready for all of the things that I offer, and that's okay. Allow the voice of the body to come through, and it will tell you if there's discomfort, if there's pain, if there's a limit in your range of motion, or if there's an unsafe direction. Allow yourself to really listen with those things, be in touch, and give yourself all of that grace. The third theme is taking effective action. So if you do feel uncomfortable, doing something to change it, giving yourself the permission to make a different choice, find something that works for you, maybe moderate, maybe do a little bit less. You can also choose to try something that's a little bit more if you feel comfortable and feel like you are ready for it. You are in charge of your own experience. And the fourth key theme today is creating rhythms. So being in touch with the natural rhythms of breath and pulse. We will create some movement in relation to, or in rhythm with the breath tonight. Allowing yourself to notice those things. So this is actually week 10 of our therapeutic yoga practice. If you haven't joined with us yet, that's okay, welcome now. I have one video from last week, a shorter video, about 30 minutes of practice that was mostly seated with breath, a little bit of twisting movement, a little seated movement practice for the spine warm up, and a little bit of a dharma talk on the first 3 of the yamas that we have been discussing in class. So the yamas are the 5 restraints that come from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Tonight we are offering the theme, the 4th yama that we're studying is Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is a word that is often kind of translated to mean celibacy. There's a much broader kind of understanding of what that word really entails. And I wanted to offer just a little bit of From the Heart of Yoga by T.K.V. Desikachar, who is one of the teachers in the lineage that I follow, Ashtanga Yoga. So here we are. So Brahmacharya. The word is composed of the root word char, which means to move, and the word Brahma, which means truth, in terms of the one essential truth. So we can understand Brahmacharya as a movement toward the essential. And I feel like that is a pretty fitting teaching for right now. So moving toward what is essential. There's a lot going on in our world today. Lots of things that have changed, different variations in routine, maybe the total interruption of routine. Lots of noise, lots of media, lots of opinions, people cooped up in their homes and trying to put out funny videos, which I also appreciate, and help to keep us connected, but allowing us to come back into movement toward what's essential, movement toward that truth. And I think when I reflect on that, I consider the essentials to be breath, love, compassion for ourselves, compassion for other people, a willingness to believe and see that we're all doing our very best all of the time. And that might look different and be expressed in different ways, but that's kind of an underlying belief that I have. And I also was kind of looking into this teaching of Brahmacharya and kind of the idea that it's about conserving your energies and mastering your energies. And so with all of the distractions that are willing to come in and maybe being fed to you through various networks or channels, that we can kind of start to, at least for a little time in this practice, start to filter some of those things out and allow ourselves to come back to the essential. So I invite you, if you want to, close the eyes a little bit here, or you can even just cast the gaze downward softly. Start to come back to the essential of breath. Maybe noticing yourself if you're seated on the floor or in a chair, what the feeling of that support for your seat is like. If the feet or the legs are touching the ground, allowing yourself to notice that is true. Maybe involving a little bit of an inquiry of what does it feel like to have the feet grounded or the seat grounded. Inviting this awareness to be present with breath. So we're also noticing inhale and exhale. Noticing too if there's tension that's in the body, maybe a little shrug of the shoulders or rolling the shoulders back and down can be helpful here. If you need to create a little bit of movement, a little bit of wiggle to get comfortable, allowing that as well. So we're allowing ourselves to draw our energy back in, draw our attention back inside of ourselves. And then allowing ourselves to really be intentional about where those energies go. If we are caught up in kind of the spinning of the world and current news, allowing ourselves to acknowledge that, be real about it, and allow ourselves, when it becomes too much, to disconnect and turn it off, tune back in. One of the quotes that I found that I really did love is from Michelle Obama, and I wanted to share it with you tonight as well. It says, "You may not always have a comfortable life, and you will not always be able to solve all of the world's problems at once. But don't ever underestimate the importance you can have, because history has shown us that courage can be contagious, and hope can take on a life of its own." And those words just felt really meaningful to me. A lot of us are experiencing discomfort. I own that for myself right now. I'm very uncomfortable, not really knowing what comes next and not really sure of many things. So it's not comfortable right now, and it's not really mine to be able to solve all of the world's problems, but the way that I can choose my energy is to not take on all of those problems. So that's my Brahmacharya right now. But knowing that I can serve those that I have access to and those to whom are protected in my care, and that the courage also to keep a collective mindset that we're all in this together. And it takes courage to say, maybe I can't see you right now. It takes courage to say, maybe I won't go out and do all the things that I used to do or am used to doing. But that courage is something that we model for each other and helps us to connect with our purpose in being safe and protecting our communities. And that the hope that's taking on a life of its own, that we need to really feed that hope, embody it for ourselves, and be true to it. One of the kind of teachings around the Brahmacharya that I found from Yoga Journal online is a mantra that is the Chandra mantra. Chandra is the moon. And it goes Om Som Somaya Namaha. And I actually made a little card, so I'll show this to you. I don't know if that needs to be flipped. I can't tell. Okay, so we have Om Som Somaya Namaha. If it's backwards, I apologize. Maybe you can't read it through that side. Okay, just kidding. Om Som Somaya Namaha. And I wanted just to invite the practice of mantra tonight. A mantra practice can be incredibly fruitful. It's very good for the respiratory system, activating energy through the heart, the lungs, the blood, nourishing and healing these systems here. Anytime we activate the voice and give a vocalization energy, we help the vagus nerve, which is a hugely critical nerve and also very, very important to the nervous system, the ability to control or regulate our emotions, our energy level. We activate the vagus nerve when we vocalize or use the voice for energy. So I wanted just to invite a chant. I will start it and take a few rounds. You're welcome to chant with me. You can also find other YouTube channels or videos that have this mantra meditation. You're welcome to use it. Om Som Somaya Namaha. 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 So as you're maybe introducing a mantra practice for yourself, or maybe just being exposed to it for the very first time, that might have been really strange for you. That's okay. I'm okay with that. Allowing yourself to just kind of wipe away the critical voice if you have one. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not a performance. It is a yoga practice. So giving just voice to this bija, which is a seed mantra. And the teaching that I found says that it calls upon the rejuvenating nectar, or the soma that drips from the moon and washes away stress that causes the feeling of depletion. So one more time, Om Som Somaya Namaha calls upon the rejuvenating nectar, or the soma, that drips from the moon and washes away stress that causes the feeling of depletion. I thought it was beautiful. Mantra practice is a big part of my yoga. So I wanted to offer that for you. Feel free, you can reverse that and chant a few times. Getting to that place where kind of like that breath reserve maybe gets kind of used up, and then you have to really focus on a whole breath in, using that breath for the vocalization of the mantra. And then using that whole exhale, that whole breath for the mantra, and then breathing it back in. Big breath in for that next phrase. So it becomes almost a pranayama practice where we're cycling that breath through, getting the energy moving in the body, both through the mantra, the voice, the breath, all these things together. So I wanted to give you that, and then also offer a little bit of time to do some movement today. So I will maybe play with the camera a little bit just so that you can see me, and hopefully the voice translates pretty well. I'm going to move over my meditation cushions for now. I think I'm going to have to tilt the camera just a little, so I'm going to do some work on the floor. And yes, if you know from classes, that is a little palm pillow supporting my camera right there today. So the palm pillow energy is still good and with us. So for the start of practice, I wanted to offer a little bit of cat-cow breath, starting with hands and knees on the ground. And if you want to create a little bit of cushion beneath the knees, you're welcome to put a folded blanket here or a folded towel, something to just create a little bit more softness for yourself. So as we get started, wrists are centered beneath the shoulders, knees centered right below the hips. Flip my hair around. So with an inhale, we're going to tilt the pelvis and the tailbone high, take the gaze up, keeping the back of the neck long. With an exhale, rounding the back, tucking the chin and the tailbone under with the exhale. As we inhale and rise up, this is the cow pose. Exhaling, rounding the back, this is cat pose. We'll take a few more rounds here. You can be at your own pace. Inhaling to arc, exhaling to round. Deep breath in, dropping the belly. Full exhale, rising the spine. Maybe another round or two here if you're comfortable. Using the whole breath. Full breath in and full breath out. So go ahead if you like it. You can keep this practice going a few more rounds. If it's uncomfortable to you in any way, feel free to stop or pause. Always an option to take your practice a little bit longer or a little bit shorter. Give yourself what feels comfortable. Finding some way to engage breath and movement together. Maybe one more round here. And then you can come back to a natural spine. So hopefully you're able to hear that. Maybe I should have faced the camera a little bit more, but we'll just assume that that worked out. So I wanted to offer here what we call a crescent lunge. It's a little bit of a moon theme for tonight's practice, given what we've already talked about. So starting with one of the feet coming forward, I'll start with my right foot. I'll actually back up a little bit so you can see maybe just a little bit better. This is our crescent lunge. So the right foot comes forward between the hands. The back foot just extends back behind, straight from the ankle. I'm just going to turn around so maybe you can see a little bit more from this side. So this is our crescent lunge. Nice deep breath here. You can allow the hips to sink down just a little bit more. But we want to be attentive that here too, the ankle and the knee are right in line. If the knee is way out over the toes, we want to just walk it forward because that's protective of the knee. Okay, good. So here in our crescent lunge, honoring some breath, taking some time just to notice the energy. If there is excess energy, be it mental or emotional or physical, that is involved here, anything that's holding on or constricting that doesn't need to, we're going to practice that Brahmacharya spirit and just allow ourselves to come back to a peaceful place. Noticing ourselves in the pose. Aligning the spine, maybe taking the back of the neck just a little bit longer here. And I'll invite one more breath forward into this lunge. And with the exhale, I'll invite you coming back to what we call a half split or runner's stretch. We're just rocking the hips back and lengthening through that leg. So deep breath in. We're going to make a little bit of rhythm out of it. Coming forward to the crescent lunge. And exhaling back to the half split, extending to help open up through the hamstring and the calf. So inhaling forward, your hands don't have to move like mine. Go ahead and keep them flat or centered. Inhaling as we move forward. And exhaling as we move back. Option for a few more rounds here if you like it. You can extend this practice as long as you want to. You can always pause the video. Give yourself all of the time that you want to find the movement and breath together. Exhaling back. Inhaling forward. Maybe one more time here. One more breath in to come back to the forward place. Go ahead and take that right leg back if you want to take a little bit of movement, maybe side to side in the hips here. You can take that movement for yourself. Could be a little bit of a circle in the pelvis if that helps you work out some of that energy or stretch. Good. And then I'll just invite the same practice here to the other side. So stepping the other foot forward this time. This is my left foot if you want to follow with me. So left foot comes in between the hands, or the second foot comes in between the hands. Again, knee centered right below the ankle. If the toes are a little too far back, go ahead and walk them forward. Back foot coming straight back behind. Lifting through the heart, allowing ourselves to keep a nice long spine, attention to the energy through the whole back body. You might allow the pelvis to sink a little bit deeper if it feels the body is open in this way. If you need to back out a little bit, you can always back out 5 or 10% and just test to see how that feels for yourself, a little check-in. So taking breath here, calling on that Brahmacharya spirit to inspire us to conserve and master our energies. If there's tension here that doesn't belong, you can invite it to release or relax, especially checking the face and the neck. Giving ourselves a couple more deep breaths here. And of course, if you choose it, maybe one more deep breath. And with the exhale, you can go ahead and walk or kind of lean that energy back to the half splits or the runner's stretch. Inhaling forward, maybe coming back to the crescent lunge. Exhaling, coming back, half split. Inhaling forward and exhaling back. So you can again take this at your own pace. If you like one of these shapes or the other best, you can pause and hold it, breathe into it here. If you like the movement and creation of rhythm, allow yourself to really notice the shifting of the energy forward and back. Where you feel stretch, sensation, or pressure. If everything feels okay, if the body needs something different, honoring that as well. And just allowing yourself maybe a couple more rounds here. Getting that sense of evenly treating the first side and the second side. I haven't kept perfect count, so I don't know for myself. It's just a felt sense a lot of times. And take one more round here. Coming back to the crescent lunge with an inhale. Good. So stepping that second foot back. Coming back to the table pose. Again, it can be a shift side to side with the hips here, or a circle of the pelvis if that helps you to feel good. Always option to find anything else that feels right in your body. Your body is your own best teacher, following the guidance within. Okay, we'll take maybe one more breath or so here for transition. And then I want to invite you to come to standing, however you feel safe doing so. One great way to come to standing is to put one foot forward, hands bracing on the knee. For support, you might tuck that toe behind you, and then take a hearty lift up to standing. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the camera. Once again, bringing it to where you can still hopefully see my feet. We can do a little bit more practice. I feel like the camera's a little bit dark, but that's okay. So I wanted to offer, also kind of in spirit of our moon sequence tonight, there is also a moon salutation. A lot of people have heard of a sun salutation. We typically do a half standing flow in our therapeutic class. So I wanted to offer a half moon salutation as well for tonight. So it's going to be starting from a mountain pose. Go ahead and take yourself there. So feet to the ground, toes spread nice and wide here. Feet can be hip width distance or a little bit closer. You can bring the big toes together to touch if you like. That's a little bit more of a balance challenge, so if you have a little bit of concern with balance, go ahead and open those feet up as wide as the hips. And to take our energy down into the floor, so we really notice that the feet are grounded, the arches can lift. We might notice that the weight is on to the outside edges of the feet, balanced between the base of the big toe, the base of the little toe, and the heel. We can ask the muscles in the legs to come online, so a little bit of a grip through the calves, a little lift in the kneecaps, strength into the hamstrings and the quadriceps. You might tuck the tailbone under behind you, draw the navel in toward the spine. So these are just ways of setting up a nice, strong, intentional pose. Fingers might spread wide here as the shoulders roll back, and then a little lift through the crown of the head, just taking as much length through the spine as we can. Giving breath here into this shape. Okay. And if it feels safe and comfortable to you to do so, I will invite stepping those feet a little bit closer. Maybe those big toes can come to touch. If you feel unsteady, again, go ahead and open those feet a little bit wider. Deep breath in. We're going to inhale those arms up overhead. Clasping the fingers, releasing the index. I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like from my hands, clasping the fingers and releasing the index. I know it's a little bit hard to see this far away. Clasping the fingers, releasing the index, taking a deep breath in to rise up, lifting through the heart, lifting and stretching the spine. With an exhale, taking it over toward one side. I'm leaning to the right side here. Deep breath in, back to center. And exhaling, leaning it over to the other side, or the left side. Arms stay long, deep breath in, coming back to center. So we can make this a little bit of a tick-tock movement. Breathing in center, exhaling over to one side. Deep breath into center, exhaling over to the second side. And it can be a little bit of a flow back and forth, moving with your breath. Inhaling up, exhaling over, making sure that every time you pass through center, you're keeping the heart lifted and the spine nice and long. Go ahead and take one more to each side. Good. Coming back up to center. Go ahead and release those arms. It's a lot of arm and shoulder work. So I'm going to give that a little bit of a break here. Good. So that is a little bit of a flow through a, what was that? Oh, a standing half moon. I hadn't heard that name before, but a standing half moon. I just know the whole moon salutation typically, not some of the parts. So that is the first part of the moon salutation, so we'll invite that. The second pose is going to be the goddess pose. I have this in memory, but I get nervous in camera, so There it is. I'm going to check my notes. The goddess pose, we're going to open the legs a little bit wider. So coming to a wide stance, and then allowing ourselves to, turn the heels in towards center, so the toes point out a little bit, about 45-degree angles or somewhere around there. Arms can come out by the sides. If the arms are tired after all that standing half moon, you can go ahead and just keep them on the hips. Another option is to take the arms out from shoulders and then bend at the elbows, fingers spread nice and wide here. And then the goddess pose, also sometimes known as the horse pose, is a deep seat or deep squat in this pose. So here's our goddess pose. Go ahead and hold here if you'd like to. I'll turn to the side so that you can see what it looks like from the side. Notice that the tailbone is tucked under. Sometimes people have the tendency to kind of hang it back. Not really the shape we're looking for. We want to sit nice and tall and leaning the shoulders back or the upper body back, almost like I'm flat against a wall. You can look side to side and check that the elbows are at 90 degrees. Another thing I see a lot of is people kind of being about here. It's not the same stretch and heart opening effect that you're going to get if you bring them back up to 90. So you might look side to side and check it out. Good. Go ahead and rise it up if you haven't already. You can shake it out and release it. You can set those feet back together. Good. Shake it out. It's a lot of arm work here today. So that is kind of the second shape we'll take. And then the third shape that I wanted to offer you is a triangle pose. So if we go ahead and come back to that wide stance, arms out to the side. So this is also called a 5-point star. This is also one of the poses that is technically part of the moon salutation. I forgot to note it, but here we are. 5-point star, toes turned out, arms reaching. So we're trying to touch both like the walls on either side of you at the same time. So the shoulders come down and there's a stretch sensation coming through the shoulders, elbows, and wrists. Here's our 5-point star. And then that's our setup for our triangle pose. So I'm going to start by turning the right toes to face you or what might be the side of the mat, and then turn the left toes to the other wall, so feet make a 90-degree angle. Does that make sense? Okay, so here we are. We're going to press through the right hip if you're following me. Right hip presses back, left hand reaches forward. Left hand can come down to the left leg. The right arm can rise up straight overhead. Some people like to swing the arm all the way around. It helps them to open the heart up. A little bit of a balance challenge here. Hand can also come to a block if you have one. It can come all the way down to the floor. But what that tends to do is kind of push the hip out where we don't want it. I want to think of, I guess I'll turn here this way. I want to think of these shoulders stacking over that standing leg. That's the triangle pose, and I'll show you the difference. If I'm leaning forward to touch the floor, I'm getting a little bit more pop back here. I'm going to keep it nice and controlled and aligned. Good, so that's the triangle pose. Go ahead and rise it back up if you wish to. Coming back to that 5-point star, you can release those arms. Good, so the other part of what makes the moon salutation super special and sweet is that it is also a cycle. Much like the sun salutation is a full cycle, the poses that we do going into it are the same poses that we do coming out of it, more or less. So I wanted to try to connect all these shapes with you. Starting off in mountain pose. Feet can come together, big toes can touch if you like. Taking a deep breath in, rising those hands up. We'll start with our half moon. Exhaling here over to one side. Inhaling back up to center. Exhaling over to the other side. Good. Back up to center. Exhaling to open the stance. Sit down into goddess pose. Good. With the in-breath, rising it here to 5-point star. Turning the right toes and the left toes. Reaching through the left arm, taking it into triangle pose. Deep breath here. Full exhale. I'm going to reverse it. Rising it back up, nice and controlled. 5-point star. Inhaling to the top. Exhaling, turning the heels in, goddess pose. Inhaling to rise up to standing. You can bring the feet together and sweep the arms. Exhaling, we're taking it over to the left side first here this time. Inhaling to rise up. And exhaling over to the other side. Inhaling to rise up. Good, and that's the full kind of half moon salutation that we're going to go through. We'll go ahead and do it again, just so that we can all kind of be practicing on the same page, and I can get my cues down. So starting here from a mountain pose, hands can be at heart or hands can be at the sides, you can choose. Deep breath in, rising the arms up, clasping fingers, releasing the index, maybe the opposite way this time. Exhaling, we'll go ahead and take it to the other side first, balancing, rising up. Exhaling over to the other side, standing half moon, rising back up with an inhale. Exhaling, feet come wide, goddess pose. Inhaling here to 5-point star, reaching fingertips to both walls and adjusting the feet. Exhaling, we're leaning to the left side, rising up through the right arm, triangle pose. Full inhale and full exhale. Deep breath in to rise to standing, 5-point star. And exhale into goddess pose, heels maybe turning in, elbows at 90 degrees. Rising here, stepping those feet together, deep breath in. Clasping the fingers, exhaling to the right side first this time. Inhaling to center. Exhaling to the left. Inhaling to center. And exhaling, releasing those hands. So, also what I should have done was reverse the direction for the triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more time, the way that would make sense. I'm going to go ahead and match that just as we did with our standing half moon, taking it to the left side first, and then the right, and then pairing it with the triangle pose here to the other side. Okay? So go ahead and follow along. If you've been practicing while I've been talking, all the better. If you want to watch this video multiple times, then you also know as I'm breaking things down, you can feel free to go ahead and keep practicing what feels good to you. So starting with a deep breath in, clasping the fingers, releasing the index, taking the exhale over to the left side first. Deep breath in. Exhaling over to the right side, rising it up. Exhaling, feet come wide. Goddess pose, knees come out, getting a nice hip stretch, heart stretch, opening through the shoulders here. Inhaling to rise up, 5-point star. This time left toes turn to the side, right toes turn toward the wall. Reaching here and coming to bring the hand toward the leg, rising up with the left arm this time for the triangle pose. Full deep breath. Gaze is either down toward the foot or up toward the hand. Full exhale. Inhaling to come back up to 5-point star. Exhaling into goddess pose. Rising it up, feet can come together, arms swinging up overhead, deep breath in. Exhaling first to the right side and up to standing. Exhaling over to the left side, finishing the flow. Inhaling, coming back up to center. Exhaling, letting those arms go. Good, you can shake that out. So feel free to rewind the video, come back to that practice a few times if you want to. I love the moon salutation. It's a big part of my personal yoga, and there's actually more to it. We might break it down a little bit more over time. You're welcome also to look it up online. There's some good descriptions and I'm sure good videos for that as well. As we get to kind of winding down this practice, I wanted to offer a little bit more practice from the floor. So I'm going to tilt the camera back down a little bit here. Starting off with the child's pose. So I'll turn to the side so you can see. Sitting the hips toward the heels. If that doesn't feel comfortable for you, you can always create a little bit of cushion. Could be something a little bit bulkier, could be on the feet, just helps release some of the stress that the knees might feel here. It could also be a blanket or a towel there behind the knees. Starting by sitting up nice and tall. And then allow yourself to gently walk the torso down over the legs. Belly comes to the top of the legs, head and the neck come long. Arms can be soft or can even tuck in by the sides of the body here. And giving yourself some deep breath. I'm not sure if you can see where I am, so I'm going to back up just a little bit and try that again. Feel free to allow yourself to be in the pose. I just wanted to make sure that I've got a good visual. Giving breath here. And this is a good pose for conservation of energy. I'm just shifting so that I can talk to the camera a little bit better. Feel free to stay in your forward fold or your child's pose. Giving breath to this shape. Maybe allowing yourself to reflect on the energy that you have expended so far in this practice. The energy that you have conserved for yourself. Maybe the essence of coming back to that essential, that breath and that movement together. If other busyness is trying to come into the mind, then allowing yourself just to guide gently back to awareness of what's here and now. So finding that child's pose, maybe going a little bit deeper if you wish to. Allowing yourself to have a few more moments in your breath, noticing if there's any other stress or tension that you can release here. In your own time, when you feel ready to come back up, gently lifting up through the torso, and allowing the feet to come around to the side. And we'll take a little seated pose here, offering what we call a bound angle pose or a seated bound angle. I like a little bit of cushion, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my little seat. You can use a blanket, something that's not too tall, but provides a little bit of support. Definitely helps open the knees and the hips together. So knees are invited to kind of open out wide. Spine is invited to come tall. Allowing ourselves to settle into awareness of the breath here. And if you like the pose just as it is, you're welcome to stay right where you are. If you would like a little bit more of a forward fold, a little bit more softness in the shape, you can lean the pose forward, lean the upper body, keeping the heart nice and tall until the back starts to round on its own. And then gently following the curve of the spine, allowing the spine to release until the head and the neck are also soft. I'll just show what that looks like. And giving yourself the time to be here. As deep into this pose as feels good to you. You can always come out a little bit or go a little bit deeper if the body feels open and receptive. Using breath to keep mind in the here and now. Noticing each breath as it comes in and gently flows out. Allowing yourself to keep centered with the breath, noticing what you feel, noticing your experience here. Offering time for a couple more breaths if you would like them in this shape. When you feel ready to release the pose, you can gently walk the torso back up if you took that forward fold option, Gently guide the knees back together here. Support of the hands can help. And then you can just shift those knees side to side to help release. Good. I'm going to go ahead and offer a little bit of time to come to the floor. So if you would like to, you can come all the way down. I don't know if I can capture this very well on the video, but I will try. Coming all the way down to the floor here. Clearing anything that might be behind you, any supports that you've had. Releasing the spine gently down. Knees can stay bent, feet to the floor. You might take that little side-to-side knee action here. I call it windshield wiper knees. And then taking a moment on each side, offering reclined twist. So this pose can look like both knees coming over to one side. Another variation option is to extend one leg, keep one knee bent, and cross that knee to the opposite side. You can extend the other hand, whichever hand is not the same direction as the knee or the knees. And you can also take the gaze over to that hand, helping to complete the twist. So setting up your pose however feels comfortable to you. Today I think I like both knees. And then just allowing yourself to settle into the shape. Notice if there's resistance or holding in the hips or the arms, especially if there's any tension around the rib cage or the lungs. Allowing yourself some time and deep breath here. Taking maybe about 3 more breaths if you'd like. Maybe finding 2 more breaths here. Maybe taking 1 more breath. And when you're ready to come back to center, maybe taking it on an inhale. Coming back up, you might windshield wiper those knees again. And give yourself that same shape to the other side. So both knees might go over to the other side. If you want to take one knee, then lengthening one leg first and then crossing the body with the knee. Again, here you can extend the arm out from the shoulder if that feels good to you. You can follow the gaze over to that hand. Helps to complete the twist through the neck. Again, just moderating for yourself, only going so far as you feel comfortable. You don't need to include all of these options to have a good practice. So nice deep breath comes in. Gentleness for yourself. Relaxing or calming anything that you feel is tense or tight. One more breath or so here. Maybe we'll give us one more breath. Okay, and then when you feel ready to come back towards center, gently allowing yourself to shift back. Maybe again those knees come side to side. And then I'll invite you to just release the whole body. So legs can come out long. Feet can splay open and relax here. Arms can come down by the sides of the body. Palms open perhaps. So this is the corpse pose or Shavasana. You're welcome to take this shape, and then I'll just offer some moment talking through different parts of the body from the low body up. As you experience them, feel free to notice, maybe breathe into those places, maybe offer yourself a little bit of softness into each of those places. Maybe as you breathe in, giving yourself back that mantra, Om Som Somaya Namaha. So starting as you feel comfortable to notice the toes, noticing the bottoms of the feet, maybe relaxing into the arches at the tops of the feet, noticing and relaxing the heels, noticing and relaxing the ankles, the Achilles. You might notice or soften the shins, maybe softening into the calves, maybe relaxing or softening the knees, the kneecaps and the backs of the knees. Getting deep breath into the upper legs, relaxing or softening the quadriceps, maybe softening the hamstrings. Full breath to help release or relax the bones and the skin as well, and the whole lower legs, the lower body. Taking breath and softness into the hips, the low belly and the low back. Softness and intention, awareness can come into the internal organs, allowing them to be free and float. Softness or awareness can come to the rib cage, the space around the heart and the lungs. Any tension there is welcome to melt away. Taking awareness or breath here into the chest, the collarbones. Softness or breath may be coming into the shoulders. Softening or releasing the upper arms and the elbows. Softening or releasing through the lower arms and the wrists. Softness or awareness can come for the hands, the palms of the hands, the backs of the hands, and all 10 fingers. Awareness or softness can come through the upper back and the shoulder blades. Awareness, breath, softness can come into the throat and the neck. Noticing or softening the jaw, the mouth. Maybe softening for the nose, the cheeks, and the ears. You might soften or notice the eyes, the eyelids, and the eyelashes. Maybe softening or noticing the brow, the third eye point centered right between the brows and the forehead, and softening or noticing the temples. Maybe softening, relaxing all of the muscles of the scalp. So this progressive relaxation practice, allowing you to just notice the whole body is here, the whole body is present, it is yours, you are with it, you are in it. Breathing into this place, and I want to offer this teaching just one more time. You may not always have a comfortable life, and you will not always be able to solve all of the world's problems at once. But don't ever underestimate the importance you can have, because history has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own. As it feels fitting for you, maybe allowing those words to settle into the place they belong in your body, your mind, or your heart. I invite you to start to find some movement, maybe wiggling the fingers, the toes, maybe circling the wrists or the ankles. Maybe starting to add bigger movements into the arms, the legs. You might find yourself wanting to hug the knees into the chest. Give yourself a whole hug or an embrace of some kind, maybe even just wrapping the arms around yourself. Maybe taking in a breath of gratitude for the time that you've spent for your practice here tonight. or today, or whenever you're watching. And I wanted just to offer a little bit of sound. This is my office bowl. And I'll just ring 3 times to close and seal the practice. Offering is, and we close this practice, a chant of 3 Om if you would like to, or 3 Hum. Again, just the chance to kind of give voice and vibration to ourselves, starting with a deep breath. Offering light, love, and a nod from the divine in me to the divine in you. Namaste. Okay, please feel free to leave comments or give feedback if you liked anything, if you didn't understand something, or if you want to know more. I'm happy to share what I can, and I just thank you for spending this time with me. Have a great rest of your day, night, all of the above, and I'll see you next week.